He goes back to the doctor crying, in pain. He said, "Doctor, you got to do something. I literally want to kill myself." And I don't say that lightly because multiple times he told the doctor this, that he was contemplating suicide because of how horrible and terrible this pain was. And the doctor has it all through his notes. And the doctor says to him, "Okay, you know what? Maybe it's hitting the nerve at the back of the urethra. Let's take you back into the hospital. I'm going to move this, manipulate these 2 stents, and see if that gives you any relief." Patient says, "You got to do something." So what does he do? He puts him under anesthesia. And remember what I said, that this device was intended to be what? Permanent. You have the epithelial cells growing over. This becomes embedded. This doctor now attempts to manipulate this stent, which is now firmly affixed to the inner tube, and starts pulling and tugging, and nothing's happening. So he pulls and tugs a bit more, and now all of a sudden the stent starts to shred. And now he's pulling out these metal wires. And at the same time he's pulling them out and destroying the stent, he's destroying the inside of this man's urethra, piece by piece. This was horrendous. After the surgery this procedure is done, he tells the patient, "You need to see a reconstructive urological surgeon immediately." He goes to a reconstructive urological surgeon who takes one look at him inside and says, "Oh my God, I've never seen this in my entire career. It looks like a bomb went off. Who the hell did this to you?" He needed 18 months worth of massive urological reconstructive surgery where they had to construct his entire urethra and penis. It was devastating. All right, so why do I tell you this story? I tell you this awful, awful tragedy because, for 2 reasons. One, to determine whether or not this matter was timely. And 2, to talk about whether this was a judgment call. So let's ask the question. You hear this story, you're standing at Starbucks, and this guy tells you his whole life story in 2 minutes. And now you ask the question, was this device intended to remain inside of you? And he says, yes. So now you're thinking, okay, I know how much time you have. You have 2.5 years from the date of the wrongdoing in which to bring a lawsuit. And for him, thankfully, he was timely. But now let's look at the question of whether or not, when we sued this doctor, whether his claim that this was a judgment call stood up. Because if it did, we had no case. So doing the research and speaking with our experts, what did we learn? We learned that the use of this device is medically acceptable for this condition. However, here's the big however, or what we say is a caveat. This device is only to be used in elderly patients, elderly men, above the age of 65 or 70 who no longer have the ability to maintain an erection. Because the studies have proven that if you insert this into patients who still have the ability to maintain an erection, they will suffer agonizing, horrendous, horrible pain as a result of these stents. So what were we able to show? That this doctor's claim that this was a judgment call was absolute was absolute garbage. And in fact, his decision to use these devices in a 37-year-old patient was a clear departure, a clear violation from the standard of care. That's why I use this story to illustrate that argument to you. So now you're talking to the patient. You say, hey, wait a second. I don't know about these medical studies, and that's okay. You don't need to. But I just share it with you because these defenses arise all the time, and it's compelling. But we have to ask the question, was this really a judgment call amongst other valid options, or was this something that never should have happened?